Pink Clouds. I am Carl. I am a German Shepherd dog and occasionally an addict or an alcoholic. And my sobriety is August 22nd, 2014.
I'm Lindsay. I'm an alcoholic, and my sobriety date is September 6th, 2015.
Oh, and this is SoberPod.
Soberpod.com. Yeah, SoberPod, keep it authentic, no facades. If it's real, then you know it's ours. Welcome.
So SoberPod is a podcast dedicated to the idea that one addict or alcoholic helping another is crucial to building a life in recovery. Join us this season as we read from our books, 366 Effing Days Sober, and Lindsay's book, The Spirit Vigilante. And you can get those by going to our respective websites, which is soberpod.com and thespiritvigilante.com. So you can go look those things up or follow us on the social or, I don't know, do all that other good stuff. Okay, we are back again for another episode of our ongoing saga of Carl versus Lindsay. Fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Pac-Man and Pac-Woman.
So we are talking today about pink clouds. We used to like when the podcast first started, we had like a little character that we would do all the time, and it was like, I'm the pink cloud. Like we would totally make fun of the people in their pink clouds. So Lindsay, I guess just right off the bat, how do you define a pink cloud? Like, what is it in sobriety? And when somebody says, "Oh, you're on a pink cloud," what does that mean to you?
To me, it means kind of that new sensation that comes from being sober and things clearing up once we start to see the benefit of it. I mean, it still never gets old to me, like waking up and being able to remember the night before. And so when those things are really new, I think it can feel like overnight our life has come back together in a sense. And people will say, oh, you're just on the pink cloud, you're just on the pink cloud, this will pass. And I have mixed feelings around that. That's how I have heard of and interpreted the pink cloud metaphor, though. How about you?
People always talk about pink cloud as in like you're just having a really good time being sober, and the pain hasn't come yet, or the realization of what is going to happen in your life is not going to be full circle. It's like they always talk about my pink cloud burst, that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And so what I think that they're trying to say is like, you have just discovered the newness of sobriety. You are like, wow, it's like such a like, it's. I think you wrote it in your text, like the novelty of sobriety is there, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, and I think part of it is like great. I love because here's the thing, you have all this energy suddenly, that you didn't have, right? Like you said, like you're not hungover anymore, and everything just looks very different, and especially like within like 2 to 3 months, right? You're like in that moment of like you're starting to actually almost define new habits and new ways of being, and this kind of stuff, and everything just seems really like bright and vibrant and new, and it's like so funny. I do even in my stand up I like talk about that. It's like I was I say stuff like I was like everything is like it's like waking up from a like from a black and white. It's like going from a black and white movie into color, right? Everything seems so vibrant and exciting, that. And then the next thing it's like you suddenly realize like, wait a minute, I've always been this old and bald. Like, wait a minute, like I have a family, like holy shit, I'm married. It's like you start to realize like that's it, you see your life a little differently. So hey, so I wrote about pink cloud in my book on March 26th, and I'm going to read about it really quick, and then it'll give us inspiration for the rest of this episode. Okay.
Cool.
I say March 26th. This is from 366 effing days sober. It is, oh shit, that pink cloud. Remember that shit? It was like the world went from black and white to color overnight. The grass was greener, the sky bluer, and we suddenly felt the universe get bigger as we got smaller. Finally, we felt our place in the great cosmos. Some of us have such short moments to enjoy, and others have many months of riding high on the newness of sobriety. That pink cloud will eventually fade, so remember to capitalize on it as much as possible. Embrace it for as long as it's there, but you know it will not last forever. To capitalize on it, prepare yourself by building a foundation and lifestyle that will be sustainable in your newfound sobriety. Clean house, establish a meaningful support network, repair the past, and establish a clear vision for your future. If your pink cloud faded long ago, it's never too late to begin this process. Reflections. Do you have a vision for your future? What might that look like? Daily challenge. Do a vision board for the next 5 years. What images would you put on it? What's a vision board? Look it up. Look it up. Fuck. We don't have to do everything for you. So yeah, so go look up what a vision board is and fucking do that. So, Lindsey, what do you think of that?
I love it. I mean, I think that not just in sobriety, there's many pink clouds that we face. You know, if you think about a new relationship or a new friendship, or this is the greatest thing I've ever experienced. A new restaurant opens up and you go every day for like 3 weeks, you know? And it's that temporary, and I love that you say to enjoy it and capitalize on it. So you don't have to sit there and have your bubble burst because everyone's telling you it's just the pink cloud. Like, enjoy that pink cloud. And for me, it feels more like the pink cloud. It's not something that like poof, it vanished. I think it contracts and expands throughout my sobriety, right? Like, I don't think it's fully ever gone away from me. I often think am reminded of my place in the great cosmos, as you put it. I'm going to go a little bit deep, which I didn't expect, but I'm diagnosed bipolar 2 disorder. And so when I have a lot of energy, I capitalize on that and like get as much done as I can, because I know there's going to be days that come where I'm doing the bare minimum. So it kind of reminds me of that. While you have that energy, while you have that newness of sobriety and novelty of it, use it for all it's worth to set up reinforcements in your life if it does expand and contract naturally.
Totally, I get that. I think that's why, like, I totally wrote in there to like make sure that you're like, fortifying your sobriety, right? Because you get into these moments where you're like, everything's going great. Like, man, like I see a lot of people and they like they get newly sober and they like start hanging out with friends, and then they go to the beach, and then they're like going to, whatever. And like they're gonna start going to the gym, or they're gonna like do all this stuff, and they're feeling really great. And like they're doing all these things, but they're really like neglecting, in my terms. And I know that it's like sad to like say like enjoy it, but also note that you can enjoy it and also do the legwork to like really like solidify your foundation in recovery. And I think for me, it was like there was like I'm really, in this really weird way, I'm kind of glad that like my creativity didn't come back. Like when I got sober, like it was scary actually. I thought like, what am I going to do for a living now? Am I just going to start digging ditches? Because I was like, I literally like, I was afraid that it wasn't going to come back and that it was just going to be like, this weird thing. So it took this really weird window. But in that window, I still had all this energy and I had all this attention, and I was able to kind of like, really jump into my recovery, right? Which was I actually needed that.
Yeah.
And I got jealous of people that I would meet, and they had like 3 months or whatever, and I had like 3 months, and they just looked like they had their shit together. And I'm like, well, how did you get your They're like, I went to treatment for 6 weeks solid and did nothing but work on myself. And I was just like, oh, that would have been awesome. I should have done that this time, because I felt like I was just so like not there yet, right? And I felt like, oh, like so, but I had all this energy And like I said, the sky was bluer, the grass was greener, and all of a sudden things were changing. So I think that there's like, but I guess I'm, as a cautionary tale, I think a large part of it was there was a time 8 months in basically when it was like, I was like, that's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I am so glad that I had taken the time to like understand myself, my place in the cosmos, basically. Because by the time that hit, it wasn't so bad, right? By the time that came along and the things didn't feel so great anymore, I had a really good sense of self and direction and what I was going to do in the world. And it really was absolutely necessary. So I say to people, it's kind of cautionary, like, enjoy it. Don't get it wrong. It's beautiful. Like, rainbows, unicorns, and all the other good stuff. But when the time comes, you're going to need that energy kind of that you used on yourself, because, there's going to be impacts that, you're going to be let down. It's going to happen eventually. Your pink cloud is going to burst. It's going to rain from your pink cloud. A little. So
yeah.
How long did your pink cloud last when you got sober this last time? Do you remember it?
Not, I was hospitalized for depression a little over a year into sobriety. So if I were to say like a coming down moment, maybe that was it. I really did enjoy some parts of early sobriety. It's weird because it's like the hardest time, and also thank God for that elation of the pink cloud when we do experience it, because it's such a tough time. So I think that keeps us holding on. I mean, for me, your line that says embrace it for as long as it's there, no, it will not last forever, is just like anything in life, and bad emotions too, right? Like nothing will last forever. And I read a quote yesterday in The Artist's Way that says each moment taken alone is bearable. And so I think of that for good moments and bad moments. So if you're sitting there because someone's like told you that you're on a pink cloud and it's going to end, and if you're sitting there anticipating it ending and worrying about it, then you're not taking things moment by moment. So like, just know everything's transient. And
yeah, everything is, regardless. Yeah. Pink clouds or no pink clouds. Yeah. Everything is. Yeah, for sure.
Everything.
Yeah.
So just like take out every part of that moment that you can and be in it while planning, while like taking advantage of your energy to set up things for maybe those days that won't be so easy in your sobriety. I just don't, the only reason the pink cloud analogy, I said I have mixed feelings about it, is because I don't think it is something that, I don't think it's all or nothing. I don't think it's something that bursts and then like, I'm never going to feel joy in sobriety again.
Yeah, it definitely
that would be awful.
If that was the case. Yeah.
And I think I have moments now that are even more vibrant and energized than any pink cloud moments. So I just don't want people to live in fear of that going away.
I mean, fuck other people. What I'm really talking about.
Oh.
No, but I do hear what you're saying. But I think that the reason that there's like a name for it, for instance, like is because we call it like it's a pink cloud. It has a name because it has a certain set or a moment. But I think what you're getting to is kind of what I think you get to in long-term recovery, right? Because eventually, like, that becomes the norm, right? But because it's such a sudden difference or contrast to where we were when we were drinking, we have this picture window of like, oh my gosh, this is so new. And this is like so different than what I've been used to, that they have a name for it, right? And what you don't realize is like, then you do like, you kind of come down, the elation goes away. But then what happens is you start building on that life. And now, like, I think if you were to take and look at like how we feel and how we act today with 10 and 11 years sober, you would like literally go like, oh my gosh, like we're basically in our pink cloud the entire time, right? Like for the most part, right? It takes a lot to actually get us down because our lives are built around a foundation in, recovery that it's like, it just feels like that's our new normal, right? Whereas before it was like, it was all new. It was all, immediately new and immediately surprising. And that's kind of how they describe it in the pink cloud. So yeah, I mean, and I think the thing is like when we talk about like, your cloud bursts or you come down off your pink cloud, the fact is one bad thing will happen and it'll kind of put you back down into reality pretty quickly, right? And or like, you just get into like, oh, like that's familiar. Right? Like,
yeah.
Like,
that voice didn't go away completely.
Yeah, right. Like
it's like you're reaching an equilibrium after being down here, up here, know. So there's definitely, I mean, I think it's definitely useful that people are aware of that. And if you're listening to this and have no idea what we're talking about and you're in early sobriety and you didn't have that experience, that's okay too, right?
Oh yeah. It doesn't happen for everybody, but it is a thing. That's why I say, like, it could be, people can also be in that for maybe 2 weeks, maybe a week, right? Like, and then all of a sudden it's just like their air, flattens out, and they're like, oh shit, I hate this thing, So it could be like, it could be very fleeting, or it could be like somebody could be like, on their pink cloud for like a year, basically not experiencing any downfalls for a very long time. So yeah, it definitely does happen. Yeah, I think for me, it was a it was a slow ride into a pink cloud, like I said. But as soon as I got there, it was great, right? Like it was like I'd say up to about 6 to 8 months. Then it kind of burst for me, and then I was like, oh, I don't really like this thing, and that's when I did all the things of like, I tried to backtrack a little bit, and I tried to be like, oh, maybe I don't need to go to those meetings. Maybe I don't really need to. Maybe I don't even like. Why don't I don't even want to identify as an alcoholic exactly, right? Because I think that was lame. Was I really, blah blah blah. All that weird, really weird stuff, and
Was there something that triggered that, or you think it was just time, like the time that had passed that you kind of got settled in and got used to that newness?
I think I got used to the newness. I think that it was just kind of part of like, my life was playing out. Actually, my creativity did come back, so I was able to work and and focus on that stuff. But in that meantime, like I had done a lot of things. Like I had done all that like step work stuff. I had like looked at all those things. I was into like, looking at step 6 and 7 character defect stuff, and and I had made amends at like around between like 8 months and a year. I had gone around and made amends and that kind of stuff. So I had really started to do, I think, a lot of the legwork in recovery, and I think that was it. I like no longer I wasn't getting a free ride necessarily, right? Like I wasn't just showing up at meetings and everything was cool and Like I was starting to actually do the work, and I think that was the part that really sucked.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but let me just say, I think that I was being reminded that like, that this was not easy work, right? That this was going to be something that you had to do all the time, and I also started to I spoke at a treatment center when I got 6 months. I started speaking at a treatment center, and I think that was like hard for me too, because there's some real low lows, right? People that I was comparing myself to a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, maybe I wasn't that low, and then and that's when I was like, well, do I really need to like work this hard for this thing? Like, you know what I mean? But I was getting results, you know what I mean? So I was like, why would I stop doing that stuff? But it gave me a lot of perspective to go out and do that stuff. And
yeah, I mean, I think in early sobriety, just allowing yourself that grace and anything that can make it easier or better, pink cloud or not, just take it. Right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of still how I experience life. Like any easy moments or things that work out, or I find a parking spot. Like when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, says Wayne Dyer. And so just keeping that mindset and being open, letting the pink cloud rain on you in a good way. Just take it. You don't have to necessarily analyze it or worry about when it's going to end. Just like Carl said, capitalize on it. Any good emotions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, so is there anything similar to that in like so for instance, like when you go to like a retreat or even like you're doing the artist way, for instance, is there stuff like that kind of like reinvigorates or like reinitiates that feeling in terms of your pink cloud? Does that stuff do that for you?
Definitely. And for my students, like the first month of the artist way, there was so much expansion and everyone's like getting so much off their chest. I mean, years worth of pent up, because creative recovery is a lot like recovery for alcoholism. You know, everyone has something, maybe burnout, going through a life transition, stress, just losing their creativity completely. And so there's all this expansion and everyone's just so happy and joyous. And now we're getting to the work, right? Like now we're a month and a half in, and I can already feel a shift of, okay, now the inner critic's starting to come back. And so I think, like I said, just for anything or any relationship you're starting, or course, you know, we all remember like the first day of school, or I loved school, so maybe that's not a good example for everyone. But you know, like your
Listen, it was
new...
a prison. Okay, to me it was a mental institution. That's what it was.
I will go to school for the rest of my life. But you know, like you have all your new school supplies. And this year is going to be the best year ever. And I'm going to get straight A's.
Lindsey, you mean you have all of the clothes that like your mom like bought you at Kmart or Pick and Save, and you got your brother's hand-me-downs for that year? Your shoes still have holes in them? Oh, you mean all that stuff? Is that
what wasn't my experience?
And all the girls like are just laughing at you because you bought the knockoff like K-Swiss or whatever, and they're like, ha, you can't afford brand name. Oh, never mind. That's just me. It's just me then.
I'm sorry. My stuff was from Limited 2 and Nordstrom's.
Enchanté. Oh my gosh.
But it's funny because now I don't care anything about that stuff.
Yeah, I don't care
I
either.
went backwards.
Most of the shirts I wear, like as I wear button-up shirts all the time, most of them are like I get them at Goodwill for like $6. And
yeah,
they're like freaking great.
My sister gives me all her clothes. Like I hardly ever have to, and she's a compulsive shopper, so it works great. Okay. And we're in the pink cloud, being really open to anything that you feel interests you or you want to explore and play with, because you know, like maybe certain things no longer make sense to you. Like I know material things started making less and less sense to me, you know, and that's just an example. Maybe
me too, actually. I love to talk about, you know, so when I was in the pink cloud, I think in my early like recovery anyway, one of the things that really changed for me was the idea of like who I was. Like I said, like I was getting to know my place in the cosmos kind of a thing. And so, so I would go to those treatment centers talks and that kind of stuff. But here's the thing: on the way there, it was like I went with these two other dudes that was their like thing. Like, you know, from our men's meeting, these two older dudes would go and speak at this treatment center, and that they'd say, you know, if you have 6 months of sobriety or more, you can come speak there too. And so on the way there, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these two older. One of the dudes is like freaking 75 or like 80 years old. The other dude is like, I don't know, 60, 65. And I am like, here I am, like 42 years old, sitting in the back seat of this like car, driving with these two old white dudes to freaking another treatment center. And I'm like, yeah, great. Like all the old white dudes going to talk to these young Turks, right, about sobriety. And but it just like hit me. I was like, I felt so right-sized in that moment of like, you know, my ego had kind of deflated, and I was like, and I hadn't really lived for anybody else other than myself in that really weird way. Like, I mean, for the first time I was like, oh, I'm actually doing this on my free time to go to this, like on a Tuesday night, gonna go speak to dudes about like, what am I doing? You know, but let me just say, I was open to the idea, and I was kind of receiving new information about how to participate in the world. And the other things of like, so I guess that's what the pink cloud was allowing me to do. It's like it was allowing me to take in all these new ideas and new types of ways of seeing myself and new information. And I kind of was like, I wasn't in my usual frame of mind. So I was just much more receptive to other things coming into my life. And that's where everything just seemed kind of like, well, if this all feels new, then what else is new and what else can I take on? And, that kind of a thing. So it sounds like a little bit about what you're talking about with your, like, the artist way, thing. It's kind of like that. It's like you're open a little bit ways, and it just shifts your perspective just a little bit, just enough to like allow you to do other things. Did you find that kind of experience as well when you were getting sober and into sobriety?
Yeah, it's like the door kind of slowly nudges open and you get to see things. And that's when I started writing a lot again, And if I were to have questioned that and just said, like, why am I writing? This doesn't make sense. This isn't my 9-to-5 job. Like, but I just felt so open, and I also felt so excited. And maybe this is part of the pink cloudness. So excited that I could do things again, because I couldn't really even sit down and read a book. And so I just I could. So I reconnected with my love for literature and going to the library and this whole big world that I was missing out on, but didn't realize it because I was in bars. You don't learn in bars. There's not much I don't know if that's been your experience, but not much philosophical. I probably thought it was. Probably thought I was saying brilliant, charming things. But I wasn't listening to anyone. And even if I did have a deep conversation, I wasn't remembering it. So just kind of exploring that again and opening to the world can be so beautiful. Totally. There's so much to play with and explore. So let yourself do that when you're in this, like you said, place of receptivity and openness, like a kid, and just being out in nature. And wow, we both got, Carl and I have talked about this before, we both got sober around the fall or right around the change of the seasons. I remember that first fall, just seeing the leaves and thinking, have they ever been this bright before? Like something's different. And I really thought something was different in everything around me, and not that I just had been lost for 15 years and not even looking up. Right. So it's a really cool experience, and just letting yourself have that wonder.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our outside world changes, but more or less, like a lot of it is really our inside world, and that's where we're where we've never had that point of reference before. I know. I say it all the time. Like, again, I was walking with my daughter, and the grass was greener, and she was pulling flags out of the sidewalk and stuff like that. Because I remember it very vividly. Because the other thing is my second sponsor, he used to talk about it all the time. He would like he never looked up, like when he was drinking and using and it's so true. Like, I never looked, like, who looks up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not like something that you do. But when you get sober, for some reason, it's like you start, your eyes open and you start to pay attention, and things are much more vibrant. But not only those things outside, but inwardly as well. So the other thing that happens for me in that pink cloud is I am connecting with the emotions that I'm, that's kind of what, you said, elation. I was like, oh yeah, perfect word, because that's exactly how I felt. Like, I felt elated. I felt excited to be alive. And it was a very unique feeling that, like, you just gotta go like, oh my God. I remember one time when I was 19, and I was running drugs from, basically like down by the beach inland, back and forth. I was buying them inland, and then I was running them back down to the beach. And at one point, we got questioned, me and my group of friends questioned by basically DEA, like drug enforcement, and it scared the fuck out of me, because we were being followed at one point. And so I stopped everything for 30 days. And I literally
we love the 30 days.
Yeah, I know. But I think I just did it. I did it because it was just, that's the I'll tell you why. It was, so I stopped everything, and I just went to the beach every day is just saying, all right, I'm gonna just go out into the ocean, and I'm not gonna drink, do nothing. I paid, and I didn't even drive my car because I was too afraid to drive my car. It was that scary. Like, you realize, like, you know, they're gonna just, if they catch me doing anything, they're gonna fuck me hard. So so I actually took the bus to go to the beach, and then I would just go there. I'd buy like a burrito and a Coke, and then like 5 hours later, I'd come back home, and I would just like be exhausted from going out. And I was bodyboarding every day. And what happened though is like I was out there, and it was like about 3 weeks in, everything was vibrant and beautiful, and like I was out there just like enjoying like being at the beach and just like, you know, just doing nothing. Like, but again, I was young, but it was so gorgeous. Like dolphins were like coming by and shit, and I was like enamored with that. I was like, wow, everything was really spiritual at some point.
Yeah,
I just was like, it was amazing. And then the swell died down, and the waves no longer there, and I was like, I got bored at home, and then I bought an 8-ball. Like, and it was game over. But let me just say, it was like those kinds of things, right? Like, you know, you can get that feeling or that experience in doing that kind of stuff, but it's like, you know, I didn't do anything to, like, at that point, I think if I would have been like reading recovery literature, if I would have been, you know, doing the legwork in order to like prepare my life rather than just you know, playing in the beach all day long, I probably could have changed my course a little bit at that time, right? But I didn't. I just chose to fuck off and go to the beach and, you know, whatever. But so that's kind of like, I don't know, this time when it happened, I really experienced an inward change that more or less reflected the outward difference, right? So, like, I think you even talked about a little bit too, is I changed my philosophy about life to a point of where, like, all my work addiction, all my material addiction, chasing money, chasing prestige and awards, all that shit went out the freaking window, and I was done. But if I hadn't had that experience in the pink cloud and understanding like my new life and being receptive to what it meant to live a new life, going to meetings, listening to people talking about how they live their lives, I would have never changed enough by the time that the swell died down and the waves died down. You know, I would have just changed. I would have went right back to me being me again, you know? And I think that's kind of like the cautionary tale that I'm just trying to convey. So
yeah. And that is the cautionary tale. And I'm kind of, as we're having this conversation, I am understanding it more that really what people are saying when they're warning about the pink cloud, they're not trying to rain on your parade or burst your bubble. It's more like, don't rest on your laurels, right? Like, this isn't going to last. Like, I know it feels awesome right now, and this isn't going to last forever. So, like, no sudden movements. Don't make any important decisions, right? And just know that things will even out. So don't think that it's going to be this way forever. I don't need to go to meetings. Why would I ever want to drink again? That's crazy. I feel so good.
Yeah, I don't need to do any of that stuff. I'm good.
Yeah. I think that's
the pendulum swings a lot. Yeah, the pendulum swings, that's for sure. And it comes back into a center point at some point, you know? And good and bad. The pendulum swings, good and bad, you know?
And be open to those changes that you notice. Like, even if you're thinking, I think I tried to hold on so much in early sobriety to everything I was doing before. And I was like, my friends aren't going to change. Nothing's going to change about my life except I'm not drinking. I still want my identity. But my interests were changing pretty quickly. And the commonalities that I have with people were getting less and less. People that I had been around. I mean, I didn't have like this huge group of friends, don't get me wrong. I was pretty much by myself at the end. But my interests, like, because I still went to bars, I still wanted to live that life and just not drink. And then I was like, what am I doing? I'd rather be at home reading a book, or I'd rather be doing this or talking, or be at a meeting. Like, when you know you'd rather be at a meeting than a bar. yeah, so I guess all of that to say, just absorbing and exploring that newness of the cloud and like letting yourself, oh, maybe I will join that book club. That sounds interesting. You don't have to like, oh, I started going to all these events like gardening workshops and just everything because I was excited about everything. So just do that without saying, why would I do that? That's not me, right? Like we don't want to change and we're scared of changing. And people might tell you you're changing and I'll say thank you because we're supposed to change. Like,
yeah, but they say it in a bad way, right? Like they say
that's
like,
what I'm
oh,
saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Because like their mental model becomes threatened if someone in it moves. So it's like, why aren't you drinking? Why are you not going to the bars? That kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it does. It opens up a whole nother can of worms. If we were,
I know,
it's a whole nother episode, right?
We could. I don't know that we've ever really tackled that. That would be a good one. Like people, like we could call it people, places, and things or something.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Yeah. So how about you? Like what advice would you give someone who's feeling like they're in the pink cloud now and what to do with that?
Don't drink. there's that one. Because I think in a lot of people's like they kind of forget. Like I know I almost
that
forgot.
Could easily happen.
Yeah. Because especially if you're not being attentive to it, like you think, oh, like I feel so good. You know what would make this better?
Yep. And I probably don't have a problem with it anymore because I feel so good and so healthy that I can probably drink normally.
Yeah. I think so for the person in like I get it, we just talked about it's like the pendulum swinging. For me, like the pendulum had swung so far to the other side that I was really high on life. I was high on the experience. I was really I was like, this is beautiful. Like again, rainbows and unicorns and everything is vibrant and beautiful. And I was just like, wow, this is like, I am like, this is going to be like this forever. That's kind of where I was at. And, and I think when it did burst for me, it was very depressing and it was like so this is work. So this is what we have to do. And then that's when I started to second guess everything and say, well, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe I could just drink on the weekends, I always love this saying. I say it too all the time. He's like, at one point I was talking to my wife and I was convincing my wife, like, honey, like maybe I can just drink on, birthdays and funerals and weddings and, that kind of stuff. And then I think I was doing the math on like, I have like 4 children. And I was like, okay, I got 3 girls. I'm definitely going to marry them off so I could get, but it's going to take a while, right? And I was like, but basically by the time I'm done, like everybody has to have a birthday, everybody has to get married, and everybody has to die at least within the year so that I could get drunk how I need to get drunk, right? And it was just I'm planning a whole different demise, right? But again, I'm going through that. I think we just talked about it in our last episode, like grieving. I'm grieving, and I'm really, that was me negotiating, right? Like I was like trying to be, So after all that had come down, it's like, I got really depressed and I was like, oh shit, my pink cloud burst and now this is going to be work. So my advice to other people is like again, when you're in that window and everything is going great, like take some time to focus on the things that like are going to be a new foundation for your life moving forward. Like again, I think that's why we have programs of recovery or an outpatient treatment. Like hell, maybe you were lucky enough to just get like, oh shit, like I just got 2 weeks of sobriety and this is great. But wouldn't being that you came from a dependent alcoholic life or smoking dope every day or whatever you came from, the fact is, don't you think it would benefit to maybe go to like an outpatient scenario, maybe get like some, I don't know, evenings and weekends of like, hey, how should I like handle this new life of recovery, quote unquote, because a lot of people just kind of fumble their way into it, and that's where they end up going back, and that's why they end up 8 months down the road, they're like, fuck it. They, the 2 classic words of fuck it, and they have a drink in their hand, or they're at the bar, or a holiday comes up, or the Super Bowl, or a fight or an argument, and the next thing you know, they're just reaching for what works, right? Mm-hmm. And I got so lucky that for whatever reason there was people and places in my way that said, "Hey, Carl, you should probably be thinking about this now because you have some sanity at this point. So why don't you move forward and do it this way instead?" And I got so lucky, and I did not do that on my own. But I should have gone to treatment. I should have gone to counseling. I should have done all those things. Gosh, I wish I would have. Right? You know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we are the way we are, Lindsay. Like, because we man, it's such hard earned. We make sure that I don't know. Maybe now that I think about it, hey, people, maybe not go. Maybe it might serve you too. Right? Like,
if you want what we have.
Yeah, right. If you want to be insane as we are, go ahead and don't. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's maybe it. It's like, again, build the foundation while you have the energy and the willingness and the receptiveness of this new found sobriety, and see what maybe more will stick. Maybe it will solidify for you when the bad times do come, or when the downturn happens or the pendulum swings back down. Maybe you'll be in a better position to capitalize on all that stuff. I think that's my advice. What about you? What's your advice for that the pink cloud poppers? I don't know. It sounds negative.
Easy, Carl. A James Clear quote is coming to me.
James Clear's the 12 Habits guy. Is that who?
Yeah, Atomic Habits.
Atomic
Habits. Yeah. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. So even if what you're feeling right now is transient, and maybe tomorrow or next week you might be in a slump, what's something you can do today to kind of give you a little bit of insurance or safeguard for that moment? Whether it's committing to a habit, or making plans with a sober friend, or because you're feeling so good, offering to take a service position if you are in a 12-step program, and if you're not, offering to volunteer for something else, right? Mm-hmm. And since you're already receiving that gift, what's a way that you can keep giving back? Because that will help you hold on to the gift of the proverbial pink cloud.
And there's plenty of other things to do outside of 12-step. There's old folks homes. There's animal shelters. There's there's so many things and if you just look at your local community, there's things to volunteer for. But you really hit on something there in terms of a service mindset. At those points, you're more receptive, you're getting more experiences, you're out there in the world, and you are helping other people at the same time, and it really does kind of reinforce that ability. There's nothing that will get you out of your own ism than helping others. That is for sure. So I agree with that 100%. I agree. Lindsay, do you have anything going on in the world, in the physical world, that you would you want to share with people, talk about?
Sure. I have a couple things in March. If you are in the Washington, D.C. area or surrounding, I have a few spring equinox offerings. One at the Raider Center in Bethesda on Saturday, March 21st. And then on the 22nd, Sunday the 22nd, a summer solstice practice at Surefire Yoga in Bethesda. So I'll have those posted and check them out.
Are they one-time things, or are those ongoing things?
They're one-time things.
Nice.
So I like to do things around the spring equinox, fall equinox, summer solstice, and winter solstice, just because, especially the spring equinox is cool because the day is half dark and half light, exactly balanced them out. So I like using those as portals to kind of set seasonal intentions. And yeah, so I will have fun with that.
And I will be holding a satanic retreat at the next no. No.
That didn't sound too. Did it sound too?
No. I'm just making fun. It doesn't sound. I just. It's not my style. It's not my thing, right?
I know.
Like, I know,
but that's
like,
what I love about us.
Yeah. It's like
that's what I love about us.
I'm just a dude, doing work and
I'm
showing
just a
up.
man.
And, just a dude doing dude things.
Happy International Women's Day, by the way.
Oh, wasn't that? Is that today or yesterday? When was it?
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it was yesterday. There you go. Yeah, well, I mean, we could have done something for it, but we didn't. So there's that.
We didn't, but I have to share with you. Someone wrote the funniest post. I won't look it up, but it said something like, pretty appropriate that we lose an hour on International Women's Day. Like, that's par for the course these days, like so on terrible. Brand.
Terrible. So, yeah. we moved the extra hour to Father's Day. Yeah, Father's Day we get the extra hour.
Exactly. Yeah, F the patriarchy. So I thought that was hilarious.
All right, yo. Well, I think we're done. I think we've rode the pink cloud for as long as we can ride it.
Yep.
Do you have any parting words to say to the kind, loving, vivacious people?
I will say, trust your truth.
And I will say, stay active, stay sober, and call your congressman.
See
right.
you.
See you.
Soberpod.com. Yeah. It was a sight to see him. Breakfast with Sprite and Seagrams. Wrestling with my vices, exercising my demons. My blessings were blocked, so I never got the message. I'm stressing, I'm only 12 steps from an exit. Regret it, because my imperfections were perfected. I ain't run from it, I accept it and rep it. It's a badge to me, good stories come from a tragedy. And when you survive, the glory will come in Act 3. The wait's over, 366 days sober. Morning affirmations that can start the day for you. Use my favorite bookmark for a placeholder. Finish when the day's over. Okay. Yeah, sober pod, keep it authentic, no facades. If it's real, then you know it's ours. Welcome.